Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of my 4-part series of From Fleece to Yarn. If you didn't catch part 1 and part 2, make sure that you go back and watch those so that you can get caught up as to what we're doing today. But for the rest of you, part 3, let's move on and work on some carding.
Before we get to actually use our drum carder, it's super important that we open up the fibers. So this takes a little bit of time, but what I'm doing here is I'm just sitting and watching a movie with my daughter actually and opening up the fibers with a comb that I have. The comb that I have is a dog comb actually. And what I'm doing is just putting the fibers on the comb and then gently pulling away from it. And this opens up the fiber. So you need to be really careful not to be real aggressive with the fiber, especially the finer fibers like merino and what I'm using, Targi. They have a real fine crimp, and so it's a real fine fiber, and they break easily. So just do it fairly gently. Don't get real rough with it. If you can find the tip of where this fiber's been cut, then you'll put the tip right over the tongs of your comb and then brush out. Mine is kind of jumbled, so I can't find the ends very easily of the fiber, so I just go ahead and just brush it out as best as I can. This is great opportunity when you're brushing it out. As you can see, there's little pieces that you come across, like your second cuttings, or anything that's just real short fiber, or anything that's broken, possibly through the washing process, and you can get rid of it at this time. Then just simply take everything off of your comb and then put it in your pile. So there was a real good look of what that comb looks like. You can buy these types of combs. I mean, they look different. They're specifically for picking apart and opening up the fleece. But I don't have one on hand, so I just simply use what I have. You can also use a carder like what I have here. I don't recommend this very much. What I started out using was this, but it ended up breaking a lot of the fibers. So I prefer to use the comb. It just kept me from having more breakage than I would like. Now that we have our fibers opened up, we get to use the drum carder. So we can go ahead and just put on a pile of the freshly opened up fibers. I like to thin it out a little bit and not put a huge amount of chunks, but go ahead and just put a pile of it in there. Make sure that you don't get any of it on the very edges because it'll get into all the gears and it makes it really difficult to get out. So because it's fine fibers again that I'm using, I'm going to go not real fast when I'm turning the crank. The faster you go, the more you can damage these fibers. And as you're putting it in, you simply want to just allow that liquor, which is that small little drum, to just take those fibers in. Don't pull against it, otherwise you'll end up with fibers getting wrapped around that liquor. If you need to thin it out at all, just go ahead and stop cranking the wheel and then thin it out that way. Just don't do it and pull against that liquor as you're going along. Keep adding your fibers until you feel that your drum is as full as you want it to be. It doesn't need to be over full, but obviously it doesn't need to be under full either. Once your drum is as full as you want it to be, go ahead and flip open that brush And what you're going to do is you're going to find there are a couple of metal strips. You want to find that metal strip on your drum card and go ahead, and there should be, if you have a drum carder, there will be a tool that comes with it. It's like an awl, and you're just going to gently lift up those fibers and it spreads them apart. You're going to go ahead and do it across the entire drum, and you're going to go ahead and take your first bat off of the drum. You'll see that it leaves some of the fiber behind, and that's okay. Some of those fibers that are left behind are a little too short to stay with the fiber. Other ones, I'll go ahead and either use a little carder like I'm using now to kind of pick up some of those fibers. I'll also, if I'm real careful, use the awl and get some of those fibers out between those teeth. I'm just really careful with that so I don't accidentally bend those teeth. Every so often you do want to get those extra fibers out of there, because when they do have second cuttings and the real short pieces, if you leave it in there and you continue to card your new bats or continue to recard the bat that you just did, you're going to go ahead and pick those up in your next bat, and so you continue to keep those little short pieces in your bat. So as I go over again, I go ahead and just do it piece by piece. Thin that bat out just a little bit. We're going to go through this as many times as you need, but it should only take probably about 3 times going through the carder. But I will go ahead and I'll take that first bat and kind of divide it into probably about fourths, whatever I feel is thin enough that I can manage and that it's going to go ahead and brush it out real well. Okay, as I get all done with round number 2, again, we're going to flip that brush up. We're going to find that metal strip in the drum and go ahead and lift with the awl and get those fibers loose again. And we're going to again take that bat and take it off of the drum, and we're going to go through it for a third time. The purpose of carding is to get those fibers to lay straight side by side with each other so that it's a lot easier to be able to spin with. You wouldn't be able to spin it very well if it were just chunks of fibers. So you need to be able to card it to be able to get those fibers to lay up against each other, nice and smooth, laying in one direction. Now we're going to go through it a third time. It's a lot easier to separate into sections at this point. The fibers are starting to lay a little nicer together, and if I pull it, they come apart real easily. So you're able to kind of stretch it out like this a lot easier than the first time. So those fibers are staying together. It'll make it a lot easier just when spinning to be able to draw those fibers out. As I was pulling up the fibers, right here I felt like the third time around was good enough. It was combed out pretty well. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to make a roll lag out of it. And it's going to be a real thick roll lag. I like my roll lags to be nice big ones. That way I get to use that one roll lag while I'm spinning for a while. And I don't have to switch them out quite as often. So I just use a knitting needle and I just simply wrap that wool around it and then apply some pressure down, and it takes that wool off really well off the drum card. My roll lags have a tendency to look like really large cocoons. And then just slide it right off of your knitting needle, and then you've got a large roll lag. And you're ready to spin. Here I'm going to show you some neps that ended up in a bat that I had carded. If you can see little tiny spots in there, and they look like little balls, those are called neps, and that was from when I was using my hand carder to go ahead and open the fibers before I put the fiber on the drum carder. I don't mind having neps in there in some of the fiber because they do add some fun texture to the yarn. It can make some real fun, fancy type of yarn, art yarn. So I don't mind it all the time. I just don't want it in all my fiber. But that's what those are. They're called neps.
So thanks for joining me today for part 3 of this 4-part series. Come back for part 4, and then we're going to work on some spinning. We're going to take the fiber that we carded out today and go spin it into some yarn.